Hi everyone, Max here with Fiction Rant, where I give my thoughts on all things sci-fi and fantasy. If you agree or disagree with me, that's great. You're watching this video, so I'm assuming you love sci-fi and fantasy too, and I'd love to hear your thoughts if you comment below. In this video, I'd like to examine what is arguably one of the more powerful devices in all of sci-fi, the Humble Transporter from Star Trek. A device that can convert people and materials into energy in one location, then back again in another location without killing anyone. Usually. In any case, I think it's being underutilized in Star Trek. I think there's a lot more to be done with the tech, often with minimal modifications. Now, the transporter has been used in all Trek series to date, and its capabilities have varied from doing just what is written on the box, which is transporting or beaming people and items from one place to another, but there's multitudinous examples of it going haywire in some way to cause anything from death by merging people with solid objects, to cloning, to merging multiple organisms into a single combined being with the traits of all three combined. I'm going to tackle the transporter in two separate videos since there's a lot to cover. In this video, which is part 2, I'm going to tackle what accidents or flukes they could or should be attempting to replicate. First, there's perfect cloning, including all physical traits and memories. This is exactly what happened to, most notably, Will Riker from TNG, creating Thomas Riker, who, until he was recovered sometime later, had no idea he was a clone. And in fact believed he was the original William Riker, who had simply been abandoned on the planet's surface where, in actuality, a power surge had caused a duplicate transporter beam to manifest, so the Enterprise got their Will Riker back and were none the wiser to the existence of the duplicate. Talk about potential on this one. This is a complete and perfect clone, complete with memories and everything. All they have to do is figure out how to recreate the circumstances that led to the creation of Thomas Riker, and they could go on to create an entire family for Data. If there's a suicide mission that needs to happen, take whoever needs to go, duplicate them, and then randomly or whatever, choose which one has to go die, but you still get to keep your valuable officer. The possibilities go on, but should be explored. I mean, think about it. How many MacGuffins that are incredibly rare or valuable or important could be duplicated as needed using this technique, assuming, of course, that the duplication can work on things that are more complex than living beings. You could also stave off any impending extinctions by artificially and instantly bulking up the numbers of any species. Talk about missed potential. Granted, this one does get into the realm of potentially turning into really, really stupid stories, so they'd have to play really carefully with it, but I think that, a ecological preservation society that was using the technique to clone a bunch of endangered species, I think that would be perfectly on brand. Second, there's perfect stasis. In the TNG episode Relics, Montgomery Scott from Kirk's Enterprise was discovered nearly perfectly stored in a transporter buffer, constantly being refreshed so his pattern didn't degrade over time. He'd been like this for 75 years with no issue and was able to be brought back, again, without issue. He had to deal with some man-out-of-time issues, of course, but the fact remains that health-wise, he was perfectly fine. Unfortunately, the tech was entirely improvised, so the young ensign who had been stored in the same way didn't survive the storage. This is where working on the tech and ironing out the kinks would be really valuable. Yes, it killed a whopping half of the 2 people that it ever was tried upon, but it was also something cobbled together from the damaged components of an antique ship. How great would it be if on every ship or shuttle that had onboard transporters, so in the Starfleet terms, most of them, there was a setting for emergencies where in the event of life support failure or whatever, you could go into ultra-low power mode and just sit in the transporter buffer for however long it took for help to arrive. Talk about a lifeboat! They could wait for years and not have to deal with any of the psychological issues of the extended isolation and boredom that they can have, and they wouldn't have to eat, and if you were injured in whatever crisis had occurred, your injury would be incapable of progressing for as long as you were held in stasis. There's other things that have happened over the years. One was reverse aging. I don't really need to explain in depth why that would be valuable to plenty of people. Fountain of youth, anyone? They managed to splice multiple people together into a new, unique hybrid person, R.I.P. Tuvix, though in this case, I don't see too many uses beyond doing some really goofy and unethical hybridization research. There have also been plenty of people who died as a result of transporter accidents, but that seems more like the kind of thing you'd want to avoid as much as possible rather than duplicate. So what do you think? Did I forget about some transporter accident that confers godlike powers on somebody? How about something that's just really neat? Let me know in the comments below about some other unorthodox applications of transporters that you can think of, and in the meantime, live long and prosper, and may the Force be with you.